Hello, this is the video how to configure the drop-in settings menu. This is a clean scene from the project we installed in the last video. And in the Tiny Launches drop-in settings menu folder is a prefab folder. And there you have a drop-in settings menu prefab you can just drag in. And you see there's already a menu. You have a key binding tester for testing the rebinding of the keys, which is not for production, but very useful in development. And you have a global volume. I just put it in. You see there is already a global volume, but this volume is missing two things. I will disable it and use this one. It is missing the post-processing volume tag the UI is using to find this volume. And it has not a color adjustment override you need for contrast and brightness. So let's check it out if it works. There's the menu. Here's the graphics tab, and brightness and contrast is working. Fine. Now I'll show you how to make a copy. Of course, you can just change the existing UXML and style sheet, but if you want to have a copy, I'll show you how to do it. Click on the drop-in settings menu, game object, and then on the source asset UXML, and you'll get to the settings menu UXML. Just click on it and press Ctrl D. So you have a new copy. Rename it to your liking. And then we have a style sheet, which is this setting styles over here. And also press Ctrl D. Rename it to your liking. And go to this setting runtime theme. And you see there is a element which is the setting styles, and you have to put in your copy over here. Once you've done this, you can open up your copy. Of course, we will save. And we will open up the UI builder. Here we go. First, it looks a bit weird because you have to click on the top element of the UXML and then check it to match the game view. And if you want to, you may have the canvas background and the camera, and just pick your main camera, and then you have your game view behind the menu. If you look up here, this is the old setting styles. It's not a copy we made, so you have to check on this plus and add an existing one. Go to the folder, it's UI and styles, and here is our copy. Open it. And now those both are in, and just delete UI. So we just check it out and click on the drop-in settings menu game object, and here is the old reference. So you have to drag in your copy. Just check it that it's right. Yes, the copy we made. Press play and check the drop-downs, and when the drop-downs look fine, then everything is good. If the drop-downs look weird, double check these runtime settings again, that here is the right style you've chosen. And now with the fresh copy, we can change some styles. Click on your copy over here or via the game object to go in the UI builder. And in the settings styles, the root element contains a color palette over here. So if you want to change the colors, just double click it and give it some colors. I will just pick some weird so that we can see the effect of it. So now the colors are changed. I will introduce you a bit to the structure of the UI. So you can edit the elements. We have a root document which contains these buttons which are always visible. And then we have here a settings root menu. The settings root menu is in the display disabled. So this is enabled when you check the settings buttons, and now we see all our weird colors are working. And underneath we have the headline container. It's just the headline over here, and then the split box container with the tab buttons and the tabs itself. And this is the container of the tab buttons. And this is the container with the tabs itself. So there is the game tab, and the game tab is visible right now. If I make it invisible, and then check the um, graphics tab, and then you have all the elements the graphic tab contains and so on. So just delete this because this looks weird. Discard this and open it up again like this and make the root visible again. If you leave the UI builder, make sure you check the invisibility again, otherwise the menu will be visible when you start your project. I will show you how to change the sounds. We will have a look on the game tab button. So this is the game tab button and the other buttons in the tab buttons container. And if we have a look at the classes of the button over here, you'll see there are some styles for the graphics, but also styles for the sound. So there is a click sound and there is a hover sound, and you can just add one of these sounds, click sound, hover sound, or focus sound, if you want these sounds on your element. So just for example, I will remove the hover sound and I will remove the click sound on the button and save as a course, and then we will start the project again. And there's no hover sound and no click sound anymore. And here is hover sound and a click sound, and here is none. So open it up again. To add the sounds again, just take the click sound and drag the click sound on, and take the hover sound and drop it on the game button. Let's check if the sounds are added properly. Click sound, hover sound, just fine. So we'll take it, start the project again. Let's check. Right, here we go. The sounds are on again. Now I will show you how to add a new tab to the settings menu. First, I will show you the translation table again. If you type in button, for example, then it will show up all the buttons in the UI. Not just because you want to translate the text of the buttons, but also because the corresponding methods are bound by the names of the buttons. So you have the settings button, for example. And if you go to the UI manager and you're searching for settings button, you will find a corresponding method which is called onSettings button. And the method is clearly named by the key of the translation table and the prefix on, and this is the way it works. If you have an element in the UI and you put the name into the localization table, then you can add a on button name method in the UI manager and it will be called. That's it. So we'll do this right now and add a new tab. So we open up our UXML document. So over here you have the tab buttons. I will make them visible. So click on the settings menu root and make it visible. So when we click on the game tab button, it is marked. So just take a button and press Ctrl D to copy it, and we'll name it new button. So we'll name it new tab button. Okay, and then maybe copy the audio tab. So press Ctrl D and you have a new audio tab container. Within the audio tab, there's a scroll view, so you can fit in a lot of visual elements, and there will be a scroller like in the graphics tab. So we open up the container of the scroller, and there we go. We have these sliders we copied from the audio tab, but these names are already the same as in the audio tab, so we have to rename them. I will just delete the music slider and the sound effect slider and give this the name of new slider. Like that. And now we have a tab, a new one. We have to rename it also, because there mustn't no duplicate names. So this is the new tab container we created. We have a new slider and we have a new tab button over here. Now, as the menu is set up, we'll save it. So now we have to add our elements to the localization table. So go to your localization table, scroll all the way down, and add the newly created visual elements. You want to have a function down here. Add the new tab button key. Type in the names for the languages it should have, and the same for the slider. Once you've done this, if you are adding a new tab, we have to add it to this tab container array. So add your new tab over here. And now we have to add a functionality. We have a name. We know the system will call a method by the name of your visual element. Open up the UI manager and scroll down. And here are the methods. You see the message for the settings button and for the quit button. And here are the methods for the tab buttons, for the game tab button, for the graphic tab button. So we scroll down. We just copy the credits button, paste it, and then we name it to our new tab, like this. And there's one thing, we have to change it to the corresponding index. This was the 5th tab, and save it. So now we can close it. Here is the 5th index, the new tab button container. And now when we start the menu, we'll see the buttons. There's a functionality behind the button. The slider isn't working. There is no method for the new slider. So now add the method for the new slider. Go back to the UI manager again. So search for the global volume slider. You see there is a call in the applied settings to UI method already, which is setting the data from setting data, which I will explain in a further video. So click on it. Here is our global volume slider, and for purpose of demonstration, we just want to copy this and give it the name of our new slider and save it. So when we play this, a new tab is already working. And the slider is working. Now we will add some hover functionality. Go to the Windows Asset Management Localization table and type hover over here. And now you see all the visual elements that have hover functionality. There are two functionalities. So there is a whole window with the hover window suffix, and there is a hover callback you can add with a hover callback suffix. So let's check. I'm going out here and we start the project. So quickly change this to English. So we have on this funny button, we have a hover window, and on the settings button is a hover window. There is none on the game tab button, so we just add one here. Go to the localization table again. We're searching for the game tab button. Here it is. Just copy it. Clear the search. Go all the way down till the end. Have a new entry. And add the hover window suffix. First we have the title, and then we have the text of the window. Just to show it, I will paste it to all the languages. Close it to save it. Now we have a hover window on the game tab button. Okay, it is. Not easy. If you want to have hover functionality, you add the hover callback. You don't need a text because there is no window or something like that, but put none in here just to not have it empty. Otherwise the search will not show you the elements sometimes. I save it. And in the project, in the UI manager, you can now add a function. And we can add a hover functionality. Let's just add the same function of the button when you hover it. And just name the function hover callback. Okay, this is correct. Save it. So if we hover it, the tab is opened. That's the hover functionality of the drop-in settings UI. Some key bindings, which are on the controls tab. So these bindings are read from your action maps from the input systems. So just let me turn on my controller. So it will show up here. It added the gamepad as I activated it. Okay, how to change this? If you have an action map, and every project in Unity 6 which is created from a template has these input actions. So I will just open it, and you see there are actions for player and actions for UI. And if this would be your input action asset, then you would just go to the menu and drop it in to the corresponding slot over here. Now it refers to these input actions. And I will open it up again. You see the action map is player. Mostly you won't change any UI actions, but the player actions. So it's called player. So I would delete one and call this just player. Hit enter. And when you start the menu and you go to controls, then here are the actions out of the actual action map. And maybe you won't bind lookup or any of these actions, and if you won't change any of these actions, so just go to your action map, leave the play mode and go to the action map, and I will create a new one and just call it player rebindable. And you can copy these actions from one to the other map. So we can say, okay, now move is over here. There is a new action. I just delete this one. It's auto-created. And maybe we want to rebind the sprint. Okay, now we have move and sprint in this rebindable map. Save it. Of course, we have to change this to player rebindable. And start it. And we go to the controls. We have just move and sprint. Let's bind this to Q and check it out with the dirty key binding tester. So activate the asset. You have to check if this is the right input action asset. So we have to put the right one in. Go to the project, check out that we have the right asset, and we'll put it into the key binding tester. So now if I go to console, clear this, these are the mouse clicks, and this is Q now. And you see action move performed, control keyboard Q, this is bound. And if I would change it to say P, and now I press P, you have the same action move performed by P. So you can test all your keys with the key binding tester. As mentioned, this is not for production, this is very, very dirty. So finally, I'll show you how to add fields and how to add them to the save and load system. So for this, go to the script folder, open up the setting data. Here you find all the fields which are saved up here. And then here are some private fields and they are not saved. So we'll just add one field. Let's choose the player name and call it player name 2 and save it. You can only add fields of the types which are already in, so int, float, string, and so on. There's a display resolution which is handled fine, but if you have another type, it won't be saved. So stick to the types that are in here. Now we've added the player field. We add the field to the UI. So we open up the UI and we go to the settings root, open up the Splitbox container, and we will add the field to the game tab because there's already this player name input field. I will duplicate this and will call this player name 2. So copy this and save it. And the way it works, you already know it, is by the localization table. So just scroll down, have a new entry, give you a new entry. I will just copy it to all languages for now. Close it. And now the field is already in the menu. So if you have the game, open the game tab. Oh, here's our hint. Here is the player name 2 input. But of course, if you try to put something in, there will be an error because there is no on player name 2 input method. So let's implement this. Open up the UI manager. And here's the apply settings to UI method. In this method, all the data from your saved data is put into the UI elements. And here is your on player name input with the player name. So I click on this and I will duplicate this method. Call it player name 2. And of course, refer to the player name 2 data. And we have to initialize our field over here. So we call the onPlayer2 method with the onPlayer2 value. So save it. And if this is done, press play. Check is still the same name, but we can give it different names. And if you close the UI, the setting data will be saved. So we start it up again. And over here, we got our values. When we have a look into the settings manager, there is an initialization for the file-based player prefs, and there is a data path, which is the persistent data path chosen here. And this persistent data path is in the user directory in Windows on the app data local low, and then the path is further prolonged by your player settings, by a company name in your project. And if you want to change this, so this is the initialization asset, and there is even a password you can set or not set or change for encryption of the file. Yes, that's all. Hopefully you're getting the information to get a fast start, and yes, bye-bye.